I found out about him while I went to San Francisco for college, and he was at the De Young. Well, his artwork was at the De Young, and I stayed for the little documentary, and that's where when I learned that he died on my birthday, and I was mostly a photographer at that point, so drawing and painting were only things that I could dream of doing. I didn't think I had the skills to draw, or I didn't think I was capable. I don't know. I didn't cross that threshold until I started doing journaling and taking little sketchbooks around during work, before work, and just doodling and coming up with ideas. I did a lot of cubes. I started out just drawing cubes and triangles and pyramids and putting eyes on them. And I started finding little motifs that I liked. And then I did my first painting on a little 6x6 inch square. So Keith Haring is a pop artist. He grew into fame around the 80s in New York. He was good friends with Andy Warhol, and he revered John Basquiat, and he kind of started a phenomenon of the thick black line. But that design, I don't think I looked at it closely enough, or maybe I just assumed for the longest time that it included like the trans symbol or like non-binary symbols. But it's basically a t-shirt for illustrating same-sex couples and how they should be equal, or promoting the idea of equality between same-sex couples and heterosexual couples. And before that time, I think he was mostly gay, and there's different intersections between gay people and trans people, so he was mostly focused on gay people. But yeah, I love that shirt, and I just love the idea of the symbols like intertwining and being personified. And I wanted to apply that to my spiteful Teletubbies design idea, since seeing it on the Explore page. I wanted to see if I could do something similar and allude to that design, pay homage to it in a sense, while breathing life into my childhood, not dreams or fantasies, but my childhood icons. Do it, yeah, just draw. If you can move your hand, just do it. But so my sketchbooks, they kind of evolved into journals and sketchbooks. So I really liked going to Daiso and getting the the notebooks with the graphs as well as dots, and just experimenting with those layouts. And that's when I needed those dots and those graph lines so that I could draw squares easily and just go along with my drawing exercises. More of my free form stuff is in the blank page sketchbooks. But yeah, this is actually my second graphic notebook, sketchbook, journal. And I got it from Michael's. But the first one that I got, that was a Moleskine. It was a Moleskine. This is like a Moleskine copycat, but was at Staples in the clearance section. And then I figured out that I really like just dots. And yeah, this is where I keep all my ideas and all my final sketches or final designs. I knew what I wanted to do in my mind. I knew that I wanted Dipsy's antenna to go through the holes of Poe and Lala's antennas. So I kind of had to like, I've learned to be, I'm able to kind of visualize my drawings in my head before I put them down now. Usually it took a lot of me doodling, but I can kind of like put things together in my head, and I think that's really fun. But yeah, I started really small with this one. And it's even diagonal because I wanted to do it freeform and then frame it. So that's how I did it. I did it diagonal. I kind of like, when I have an idea, I'll go loose and freeform and kind of let it develop, and then I'll go in and apply my rules and straighten things out and just make sure everything's symmetrical, pleasing, but that was a small sketch, and I had to start a new page because I wanted to put exact ratios on it. I wanted to make a one-to-one design of that. So this is the first one, and that's for an 8x8 inch. So I made it accordingly. And because I had to use a different size canvas to duplicate, I did it as 9x9, but I was wrong. It was supposed to be 10x10. And I was luckily, this is a simple formula for this specific design, and I was able to just do it on the spot as I was outlining the canvas. But yeah, so that's a little bit enlarged of that one. You can kind of see that. And then I had to reverse or mirror the image. So I just I transformed it down and I reversed it. And by transforming it down, I'm able to like keep the same ratios or fractions and just reverse one piece. It was really hard doing like the reversal of the Dipsy or the Lala part, because my brain just wouldn't reverse it for me, and I have to rely on the math to do it because I can't. And I start by outlining the margin with pencil and rulers, and so I'll use a Walcott ruler, but for this one I'm only using a 1-inch margin. The Walcott ruler usually has about a 1.5-inch margin. But since I'm using a painting under 10 inches, I'm gonna be using this small ruler. After outlining the margin, I tape over the margin so that the edges are clean when I pull the tape. All right, now it's time to paint the border. When I paint the border, I like to only use, when I paint the border, I like to rotate the painting so I have this same pool I guess what you say. One side has a safeguard with the tape, but the other side takes a little bit more control. But I use my right hand and I lay my pinky on the side of the canvas as I go down so that I get a little bit more stability that way. All right, once the border's finished, it's time to outline the subject lines with a permanent marker. after the permanent marker dries, which is pretty fast, it's time to color. And depending on the opaqueness of the paint, that informs me on which color I'll do first. Usually yellow is the least opaque, or an ultramarine blue. But it kind of depends on what I'm feeling at the moment. Sometimes I like to start with the highest volume and then go to the areas with the least volume. But generally light to dark. After I'm done with all of the colors, it's time to let them dry, but also it's time to reline the subject lines. I like lining before and after because it gives me a certain amount of control. I don't like going over the lines while I'm coloring because I like to keep things neat. But if I'm in a rush, I will do that, and then I'll count on the fact that I always reline the lines. All right, so after lining, it's time to re-outline the borders. After outlining the borders, surprise, surprise, it's time to untape. And it is quite a surprise because I like the way, I just think it's a really pleasant feeling opening up a present that I made for myself. It kind of gives me an idea of, I don't know, I just really like the process of untaping. There's a bit of smudginess on one side, and just seeing the cleanness of the line as you untape, it just gives me a lot of dopamine. I don't like rules, but I also really like rules. So I keep them to a minimum. One thing you'll see in all of my paintings is a frame in the canvas. So I like to create my own frame. I just really like having the white border. It's really pleasing to me. It also adds white into the whole piece without having it in the subject. Another rule that I have, and it's important, is to have an element that can flow into another element of another painting. So the way I do this is by commonly putting subject lines at the half point, or at the fourth point, or at the 3/4 point, just so that I have a chance to work another design out, or a chance to put these two paintings together, two random paintings together, and see how they relate. They don't necessarily even have to flow into another painting. I like to have elements and refer to motifs in my paintings. Common subjects, common symbols. You'll see a lot of lines and dots. But number 3 is to have a simple color scheme. The goal is to never have the same colors touch at the borders. Nothing too fancy, and I like to keep it simple. I also like to build on a color scheme. So I'll take a painting and have 3 or 4 colors, and then in another painting or in the next series, I'll pull one of those colors and then I'll switch up the other 2 or 3 colors, just so that I don't force myself in a box, or I don't get too obsessed over a color palette. Number 4 is, if it can be personified, it will be personified. And it can't be a person, it has to be like an object. inanimate object, I like to animate. So I'll do that by adding dots, 2 dots, simple, and they have to be a certain length apart too. Those dots can't just be too close or too far away. They have to like be the same dots that you'll see in other paintings. If I rarely do people, but when I do, I'll illustrate their eyes with slants and with a kind of somber expression. And the last rule is that there has to be a touch of innocence. I think that it's important. I just think it's important to be innocent. I don't know. I don't think I've lost all my innocence. I like to recollect it sometimes and express it. Yeah. The first color scheme that I came up with, the palette that I chose, is the one that I stuck to for a while. It was a long time ago, but I don't really remember if it was because I did it because I was so comfortable with those colors, or if it was economic reasons. But I just fell in love, and I wanted to continue to grow my collection of yellow, pink, and blue. And it just gave me a certain feeling, and I wanted to continue to make things with that feeling. But the yellow is really important because it's just a neutral. You can use it for anything, really. When I moved on from yellow, pink, and blue, it was mostly because I wanted to do another series to post on Instagram. I think I kind of did build a color scheme pattern. So when I post 3 pictures on Instagram, they'll all be the same color. And the next series, I take one color from the previous series and I'll use that with 2 different colors so that no colors touch, really. And if they do, then it's fine a little because it's a different series. But yeah, I just wanted to keep things a little bit fresh, and yeah, I just not get tired of the same thing anymore. Kind of force myself to get out of that color scheme because I tend to obsess, and so it just worked out that way. When I remix, when I put a spin on a cultural phenomena, it's already there for you. I'm just going to take out the elements that I like and illustrate them and present them to the world like that. But those things are already made by another artist. So with the Teletubbies, I kind of made it my own by changing Poe from red to neon pink. And it just gives the whole thing of energy. The neon just is so great when the sunlight hits it too, because it's the most energy that it can reflect. I had a hard time choosing the background color because there's only a few that I could really choose from, since 4 of the colors were already taken up by the Teletubbies. I want them to stop and look at it, one, but I want them to instantly recognize that it's Teletubbies. I want them to see Tinky Winky's purse as well. I think it's kind of hidden. It's not even like blatant. It's just one of those funny memories I have. And I don't know, do people remember Tinky Winky with his purse? And I want them to let me know if they remember that. But the goal is just to have it an instant recognition. And yeah, I think not just with this painting, but I want to be able to create 2 more Teletubby inspired paintings, and post them. I want to be able to post this on my Instagram. That's kind of the goal, so that I not just have this one idea, but expand on it and continue with it. Because I've done like The Simpsons, and I'm able to like continue on with that design. So yeah.